Welcome to the first episode of the High School Head Coaches in Jacksonville series. You're watching the Worst One podcast hosted by Chandler Danzler. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and watch on YouTube. Today we have Tocoi Creek High School head coach, Phillip Wisser. We're pumped to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I appreciate having me, and I'm looking forward to it, but can't complain. Things are going pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, before we start kind of digging into your career, coaching, and a little bit more, I like to ask this question here first. Who is Phillip Wisser, and how would you introduce yourself?
I'm a player's coach. I mean, I'm definitely a man of the game in a way. I'm very old school. I've been doing it for a long time now. I love my kids. I'll do everything for my kids, but on the other hand, I still obviously have my expectations, my rules, and kind of what I'm about and the program I run. So it's as much as I'll do anything for them and bend over backwards for them. There's a line we don't cross as a player coach, and they know that, we know that, and again, it's I love my kids. I'll do anything for my kids.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's kind of dig into talking about you real quick. Can you kind of walk us through your baseball career all the way up from high school ball up to your 1 year at Flagler College?
Sure. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I was an average ball player. I had nothing out of this world. I was a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher. I went to Coral Gables High School in Miami. Played all 4 years there. Just love the game. I've always been passionate for it. So I played it since I was a kid, like most everyone that's probably watching this, and just
Yeah.
I knew baseball had to be a big part of my life. So I played 4 years, had an opportunity to go to play college ball. I came up to Flagler. Honestly, I played my first year and I got hurt and just kind of got to that point where I was getting frustrated. I knew my
Hmm.
career was going to end after college, and after my first year, I ended up getting a little bit more involved in the management side because I knew I wanted to stay in the game. I was
Yeah.
a sport management major. My ultimate goal was probably to work in professional baseball, probably as ultimate goal as a general manager. That
Uh-huh.
was the number one. And then when I graduated from college, a buddy of mine, actually one of my former coaches, called me and said, "Hey, can you come help me out?" And I said, "All right, I'll do it for a year." Long story short, the year ends, and he left, and the head coaching job at Miami Springs Senior opens up, and I'm 22 years old and get offered the head coaching job at Miami Springs at 22. So head coach in Miami at a really young age, and just kind of never looked back, and that's kind of what I've done.
Yeah, so I was looking up your name, reading on you. I saw you got like an intern job for
Mm-hmm.
sports management. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that,
Yeah,
and how that was like?
sure. So I mean, again, goal working in professional baseball, the management side, that's what I wanted to do. And coming out of Flagler and sport management, there was really a pristine opportunity to go work for the Asheville Tourists up in North Carolina.
Hmm.
A gentleman by the name of Ron McKee was the general manager at the time, and he had known our sport management, one of the professors at Flagler, really well, and she highly recommended this internship. And it was awesome. I mean, the one thing about it is when you're doing the internships for the school, you've only got to do that semester. Well, they required you to do the whole season. When you come in
Oh,
for a
geez.
baseball team, right? You got to. It's not just come up for 3 months and go. They really
Yeah.
need you to commit to either the whole year. And baseball obviously is a 9 month season. So I started up there. They did a rotating internship, so it was really kind of neat where you got to learn every aspect of the game, from
Nice.
groundskeeping to concessions to merchandise to marketing to sales to player development to a little bit of everything. So it kind of gave me a good background of it all. And when that internship finished, like you said, I went home and actually had applied for another internship with the Indians in their baseball ops side, because professional baseball has the two sides. They've got the fans, everything, the on field, what you see in the stands, the tickets, all that, and then you have your player development side, which is obviously on the players. So applied for an internship with them with that side of it. Was a finalist for it, but I think they had 600 applicants and didn't get it. And then
Yeah,
before I knew it, I was, like I said, helping out of high school, and I think that was my true calling. And like I said, I've been doing it since.
for sure. That's great. Also, after college, you were an assistant coach for a year and then became one of the youngest coaches at the age of 22, 23, like you said, at
Yeah.
Miami Springs. Can you talk a little bit about that and what it was like being that young of a head coach?
Yeah, it was interesting, especially being an assistant the first year and having the friendship and the relationships with the kids as a young coach. I mean, obviously, you've a lot of guys out here today have young coaches as their assistants, as JVs,
Yeah.
and to have that separation of being a coach compared to a friend had to change in a way. And not only did I step in as a head coach, I stepped into as a head coach at Miami Springs, which we were loaded. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I had my going into the last year that I was there for 3 years. But my final season there, we had 13 seniors,
Jeez.
five of which were drafted. One is still in the big leagues. You have Monty Grandal, starting catcher, or I mean, he was with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Brewers, and most recently the White Sox, and just signed a contract with the Pirates. But
Mm-hmm.
he was kind of our big guy. But my third baseman, he was actually my shortstop, wins back-to-back national titles at the University of South Carolina. The 2 years they won it, he's now the head coach at Miami-Dade. Center fielder was drafted, right fielder was drafted, two pitchers were drafted. So it was here I am at 22 with a squad, and
Yeah.
I mean it was they respected me, I respected them. I mean it was I look back at it. I wish I would have been an assistant probably a few more years because there's things
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know and I learned over the years in coaching. And I wish I would have known that because we had a really good team. And we lost in the regional semis. I mean, I have a kid on the bump who's coming off of Tommy John. He had Tommy John his junior year, but his senior year he was up to 97, and we're facing a lefty that's 93. So I mean,
Jeez.
it was a 2-1 ball game. So yeah, it was I mean, a barn burner. And again, things like I said, things I didn't know then that I know now. Late in the ball game, playing no doubles, and they end up hitting a double off my guy who literally missed it by about an inch. And if we play no
Jeez.
doubles, we're camped under it. So it's just,
Yeah.
but it was neat. I mean, obviously it was eye opening. I think the bigger part coming from down there and seeing the differences, and I've been at 4 different schools now in my career. I saw what made me stick to coaching is the relationships I build with my kids and knowing. So down there, I had a lot of kids that came from homes that were broken homes and didn't have a lot, weren't necessarily always given everything,
Mm-hmm.
and kids that just looked at me as a father figure. And to be able to be that person, it made me know that this is the right position I'm supposed to be in. This is the field that I want to be in, to be able to help kids and give back to kids. And that's really why I did it and why I continue to do it today.
Sure. That's awesome. Yeah, after spending 13 years coaching down in Miami as a head coach, you moved to St. Augustine and coached at St. Joseph's Academy for about 3 years. Can you talk a little bit about the decision on moving back to St. Augustine from Miami and what your coaching role was? What your coaching role was at St. Joe's Academy?
Yeah. So after I was at Miami Springs down there, I'll back up a second. I was at Coral Gables, which is again my alma mater. I was there for 10 years. And we built that program up, had a good run. Again, another kid got drafted out of there, is played a little bit in the big leagues last year. But a lot of guys went on to play college ball. And then Miami baseball to me just changed, and Miami changed. I'm born and raised. I lived there my whole life, other than when I went to Flagler. I love St. Augustine. When I went to school here, it was just a town, good people, nice people. I mean, yes sir,
Yeah.
no sir, opening doors for people. In Miami, that doesn't happen. You don't see that. I'll give a funny story. I had a kid that actually played for me and he graduated in 2015, pitched for the University of Miami. He came up to visit me my first year up here, and we're sitting at a green light on a left lane lead light. And I'm in the front. I'm putting an address. I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going in Jacksonville, learning places. And when I'm typing the address in, all of a sudden the light turns green, it turns yellow, it turns red. There's two cars behind me, nobody honks, and he looks at me and goes, "What was that?" Because Miami, they're honking before they're honking before the red light turns green, and just the pace of life, it's just so different. And so I knew one day I would come back. And my last couple of years at Gables, as good as they were, it was just time. I mean, the cost of living down there got to a point that it just wasn't worth it, and I made some connections and reached out to some people up here, between Coach Barnett at Flagler, his assistant coach at the time, Jonathan Hull. I said, "Hey, keep an eye open if there's any jobs opening." And at that time, St. Joe and Menendez were opening up. And when I spoke to them, like, "What would you do?" They're like, "St. Joe, it's a private school. You can build, you can grow." And so
Yeah.
I decided to come up, took the interview, got the job. I was the head coach there for 4 years. I enjoyed it. It was great. It was never my intent was never really to leave there. Um,
Hmm.
I really felt like we were building something. It was slow, but we were building. It's a really, really small school. And then
Yeah.
obviously Tocoi opens. But I mean, it was, for me, it was just coming back to a town where people are friendly, because that's who I am. I'm a good person. I feel like I do try to do the best I can for myself, for my family, for my kids and my players. And it was just the town that I wanted to kind of venture to and spend hopefully the rest of my life in. So
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you to the sponsor of this series, For Him Glove Company, a company that started back in 2021. They offer up to fully custom gloves for baseball, fast pitch softball, and slow pitch softball. They offer 9.5-inch to 15-inch gloves. They also offer 20 different colorways and design patterns, as well as trainer gloves, pancake gloves, first base gloves, infield outfield gloves, as well as catcher gloves. The leather options are cowhide, American kip, and Japanese kip. They also offer keychains and koozies and more things coming soon. Make sure you guys check out forhimglovecompany.com for some good affordable prices.
All right. In 2022, like you said, you got the chance to go to a brand new school, a brand new program called Tocoi Creek High School. After getting this job, what was kind of your mindset going into Tocoi, a new program? You weren't really familiar with the kids. What was kind of your mindset going into the program?
but I mean, I thought it was awesome. I mean, I mean, to me, I think it'd be a lot of coaches' dreams to be able to build something from scratch. You don't show up to a
Yeah.
field where kids are used to this or that or whatever it may be. It's what did I want? What was the
Hmm.
program I wanted? How did I want my players to run? And so yes, we did get obviously some juniors from Nice, from Bartram, from other kids and juniors and sophomores. So we did get some guys because we didn't have a senior class year one. So we did get kids from other programs that were used to something, but there's not a previous coach that we've done it for so many years. So it's not like I've got to go through that transition of saying, hey, this is the way we're going to do things. So I
Yeah.
think that part of it was kind of neat where they're going to buy in right away. And my ultimate goal is, I mean, when I took over Miami Springs, yes, we were very talented. When I took over Coral Gables was struggling at that time. And so we were able to go from a team that when I first started there, the first year we were 7-17 to my final years winning districts and being in regional. We went to the regionals for 7 years in a row. So to be able to do that, and even at St. Joe, I mean, we never made that run, but we were a competitive team. So to
For
get to
sure.
Gables, to get to Tocoi, for me, it's kind of the same in a way because I felt like I was starting something new, but I didn't have a past. We didn't have a previous, so it was difficult at times because they still were used to what they did at their old school, but
Hmm.
we said what we wanted. We stuck with what we wanted, and we've continued to do that within these first 3 years, and fortunately have been fairly successful in an early start for a school.
Yeah, definitely for sure. All right, on April 1st of 2022 was kind of a special night for you. You won your 300th win of your career. Can you kind of talk a little about that and what that kind of meant for you?
I mean, it was. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's an accomplishment. It's a lot of years, obviously, doing it. I mean, this is
Yeah.
my 20th year now. But I can't be more thankful than the kids than the players. I mean, I talk about I'm like I said, I am a players coach. I care about winning. I want to win. We're all competitors. For me, winning isn't what this is about. And I've always
Hmm.
said this, and I've always been it. Yes, do I want to win? Yes, it makes things better. But my ultimate number one goal, kids know when they come to me, number one goal isn't about winning a district title, isn't winning 300 games, isn't winning a game. It's trying to turn boys to men, number one, and number two, hopefully getting my biggest achievement, my biggest accomplishment, my biggest happiness comes from signing days. Seeing high school kids come to high school with the goal of getting the chance to go play college baseball and getting that chance. And when you see, I mean, I've been very, very, very lucky. I'm very honest with my players when it comes to that, talking about college opportunities and what level they're going to play at. And if we're
Yeah.
real, I truly believe there is a school for everyone out there. It's just how are we willing to do it? So as great as the 300th win was done, obviously it doesn't happen with any of my players, doesn't happen with my coaches. It's just a lot of years, and it was a great day. It was a special day to do it at Tocoi, where we're starting something new. Hopefully I'm there for 400, 500. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a nice day.
That's awesome. In your first season at Tocoi, you guys went 9-15, and as of today, on March 23rd, you in your third season, you guys are 10-2. What's kind of the different this season from the first season?
Well, I think it's obviously been a transition from not only the first season, but even last season. Yeah, we went 9-15. I think the first year was obviously we're the new kids on the block. It's the hardest part, and we actually had a senior this year tell me, is younger guys like the older guys earning the respect from the young guys. And the hard part is when you open a new school, you have three grades of kids all coming in together that don't all know each other. Like I said, we got kids
Yeah,
that came from Nice, kids that came from Bartram, kids that are coming from middle school. And we had at that time 5 or 6 freshmen playing varsity because that's what we had. We didn't have any other options. So I think the hardest part in year one is the gel, becoming a group, becoming a family. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't get along as a group, if you've got animosity within the team, you're not going to win. Um,
for
and I
sure.
think, and I, and I think that's what takes us from not only just year one to year three, but year one to year two. I mean, year two, we went 15-12 and we were very talented. We had a lot of guys. We had several guys going to college. We had a young man move in as a senior that was a big time arm and ended up becoming a D1 arm. And we were a talented group, but I think we underachieved at times because we still were trying to find that genuine gel of a group. But our talent stood at the end. Like we
Yeah,
talked about, I mean, we were in what I felt a competitive district last year. Menendez, even though they've had their struggles in the past, had a very talented group. And then Santa Fe was loaded last year, and we went over to Santa Fe and we won a district title. I mean, to be in
yeah,
year two and win districts with a
it's
very good
awesome.
Santa Fe team it was a huge accomplishment. Now, this team this year is talented. We are definitely a talented group, but this team is a family. And that's what it's about right now. That's why, I mean, I look back at times and I'm like, we're really 10-2. And I mean, we won 9 in a row. I mean, it's a streak it's fun, it's exciting. But they're loose, they're having fun, they're playing baseball and they get along so well, which is what means so much more than anything.
Definitely. All right. What have you like mo enjoyed the most at Tocoi High School in the last 3 years?
Just seeing the progression from year to year. I mean, I felt like we'd have a good season. I really did. Did I think it would be what we're doing right now? I'll be honest, no. Like I
Hmm.
knew we'd have a good year. I knew we could compete. Like I said, we've got some good talented players. But just to be able to watch the initial, like I talked about, what our foundation, my foundation was that we wanted to bring in. I'm like I said, I'm old school. I know today's era watching baseball, watching the pimp jobs, watching the hula and the hurrah at the games. I'm not for it. Like I'm all
Hmm.
about getting up, getting loud. I'm from Miami. I know what getting loud's about. But there's a line you just don't cross. And my guys
For sure.
know. Do they do it? Sure, they do. They're kids. We're all. I mean, most players out. Obviously, all the players out there are kids, but they know as soon as I do it, I see them, I say something because I don't really want
Yeah,
it. I've got nothing against getting up, getting loud, but we're not going to make it personal. It's going to be cheer on our guys, go for our guys. But it's just we're going to play hard. We're going to play the right way. I mean, probably the biggest accomplishment right here this year, talking to coaches, they're like, what like, because I know everybody's calling, getting scouting reports, and I've had the last 3 games, coaches have said the scouting report is exactly what they said. You guys are feisty, you're scrappy, and you're a pain in the butt. I mean,
hmm,
we battle, and that's what we do, and it is a fun team to watch because of that. But
that's great.
definitely the progression has probably been the best thing, and to see what the mold we wanted is actually transpiring.
That's awesome for you. That's awesome. All right. What do you think kind of is the biggest challenge of coaching high school baseball is?
Dealing with 14 to 18-year-olds with the hormones, the attitudes, the everything. I mean, I've had guys that are, like I said, in the big leagues or even minor league baseball where on a district championship they're in a fight with a girlfriend and you don't know what kid's going to show up because that's more than and it's
Yeah,
just as a young kid it's we don't understand it and we don't realize it till 3, 4, 5 years later after high school. But it's just I think that's one of your biggest challenges is dealing with that. It's just the hormones of young adults and kids and just everything, family, friends. It's just the relationships they have does affect what goes on a daily basis. So I
yeah,
think that's a big part
definitely.
of it.
For sure. All right. Jacksonville is really lucky to have so many great coaches, so many great players. What do you think makes a great high school baseball coach?
Um, Caring about the kids. I mean, I believe that that's really number one. I mean, I again, wins and losses are awesome. It's high school baseball. I mean, it's taking care of players, making sure the injuries don't happen. I am personally, I monitor my pitch counts left and right. My guys get mad at me sometimes because I pull them sooner than they want to come out of the game, but their
Yeah,
future, their career is much more important than a high school game. Talking
for
back to
sure.
that Miami Springs team when we played in the regional semis. I mean, with that group and a guy that's 97 on the mound, like I said, he came off Tommy John, and I had a pitch count on him that day at I think 85 pitches and he gave a double up at 83 in the 7th inning of a 1-1 ball game in a regional semifinal. And I said, you're done. I could have easily kept him in. They didn't have pitch counts back then. I could have easily
For
kept
sure.
him in 10, 15 more pitches because I cared more about winning that semifinal and being 2 games from state. But that kid's future was more important to me than winning a high school baseball game. And I see a lot of coaches that really truly care about their kids. I see they do everything for them. And again, that for the kids side, we got to understand when we get on you as a kid, it's not because we don't care, it's because we care. And kind of one of those lines I've always said, don't worry about me when I'm on you, worry about me when I'm not on you. And that's
For
kind
sure.
of it's one of those where it's, but I think that's a big part of the high school quota. It's seeing kids that are in high schools get a chance to go play college, those coaches pushing their kids, and then just the relationships they have with them.
Yeah. All right. As a coach, you have to be able to coach several different types of players. The D1 commits, the kids still winning on offers, the kids that maybe just want to play high school baseball. How do you kind of manage coaching the different levels of type of players?
I treat them all the same. When it comes to the game, I don't care if you're my number 1 or you're my number 20. You're going to be treated the same. You forget your uniform, you don't play. You forget something that you're
For
supposed
sure.
to have, you don't play. I obviously yes. When it comes to the higher level guys, it's just trying to stay in their heads and just making understand when the pro scouts are out there. Hey, just play baseball, and it's hard
Hmm.
because you go out there and you got 20 scouts out there watching you, and the pressure's on you, and that side of it. And then on the other hand, you got that second, third guy who's a really good player, but not being maybe scouted. Hey, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. Take
Yeah.
advantage of it. I mean, I won't forget back in 2005, a kid named Christian Marrero out of Pace High School was a first rounder, no doubter. Everybody knew he was going to be a first rounder. Well, they have a shortstop, and a kid named Adrian Cardenas who was going to Florida, good ball player. Obviously, he's a UF commit, but wasn't anywhere on the draft status board. And because they watched Marrero every single day, this kid got drafted in a
They saw
supplemental
him.
round. Now he went 33 for 37 to start the year, so I still don't know how he did that, but I mean, he was a great player, and it got there. So I think yes, number 1 is treating them the same, and they've got to know that there's nobody bigger than a program. And yes, you have different mentalities, different egos, but I think just the consistency of talking to them and making sure they know that you're going to be that way, and it's very easy to say it, and it's very easy to do, and very hard to do it. When you're in a game and you're getting ready to play the best team or whoever it may be, your biggest rival, and your best player forgot something or is not ready to play, not playing him that night. And
Yeah.
it's not easy. And I'll be honest, it took one of my assistant coaches about 10 years ago to tell me that my starting shortstop forgot his uniform top, and we didn't start him. We didn't play him. And it was a very hard thing for me to do. But what was the best thing that happened? We win the game without him. And
Yeah.
when you do that, it almost says, okay, we're going to come through and we're still a good team, but it is a big part of it as well. So I just think treating them all the same and them knowing that, I think you get a lot of respect out of the players from that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I've learned so much from my coaches, some lessons I will carry on to my everyday life. How important is it to you to coach your kids on and off the field?
Oh, it's huge. I am all about life with this. I am super strict I'm a strict coach. I mean, again, I've got my ways. I will do everything for them, like I said, but everybody's wearing the same shirt to practice. Everybody's wearing the same thing to practice. We're tucked in. We do things the right way. We hustle on and off the field. My high school coach was that way. At the end of the day, baseball is going to end. It's going to end. When?
Yeah.
Hopefully some of us are lucky enough to go on and play college. If not college, the next level of pro, minor league baseball, then obviously the bigs, but it's going to end. So what is this? Again, my beginning was I'm trying to turn boys to men. And on top of it, teaching the responsibilities of life. That's what baseball is about. That's why I tell my guys, that's why I am strict about what you wear, because when you have a job and they tell you to wear this, you're going to wear it. And if you don't, what's going to happen? You're not
Exactly.
going to keep that job. So we have to understand that part of it. We're team players. We do things, everything within sports is a life lesson learning. And I am big on that. And they know it. They know we're wearing shorts today. There are black shorts. They need to be tucked. Shirt needs to still be tucked in. And like I said, it's old school, but it's the way it's going to be. And it's just, I'm not going to
Yeah,
ever change that. And I think it does create a mold of understanding. Okay, we're going to look good and do things the right way.
for sure. All right. You kind of brought up relationships in baseball. I like to talk about relationships you can build while playing baseball. You've coached for 20 years. I'm sure you have built a lot of relationships over the past couple of years. Can you talk a little bit about the relationships you have built through coaching, through even playing baseball? Just talk a little bit about the relationships you can kind of build playing baseball.
Between like player to player or player and coach, like myself?
Play both. I mean, you were a
I,
player, you were a
yeah.
coach.
I mean, I think as a player, they're friends for lives. I mean, that's the biggest thing with these relationships. When we talk to our players, it's like the best thing about playing a sport, whether it's baseball or any sport, and you obviously you have an instant family. You really do. When you're in middle school and you come to high school, you got 20 teammates right away that are you're going to get along with them. No, all of them, no, you're not. But we obviously find a way to do it on the field. But you're going to have your best friends from there. High school ends, and what's going to happen? Excuse me. You're going to go to college, and you might go way out of town where not one high school player went with you. But what's going to happen? You're going to show up. There's going to be 20 to 30 guys that are on your team that are your instant family. So the relationship part
Exactly.
it's huge because it gives you that instant. Okay, I'm not alone. I've got somebody. I got whatever it may be, and it is big. And I think that's obviously a big part, and we talk about that part too. And again, it creates that instant welcoming, and makes you feel more comfortable to be able to compete and play. My players know, current, past, I'm always going to be here for them, no matter what. Like I said, that one player came up to visit me when from Miami, and I'm one of those. I'm nuts. I'm crazy. I do it. I've traveled. I've gone out to basically see my kids in every state. If they play college ball, I try to go catch them play at some point in their career. I've
Mm-hmm.
made trips to almost every state. I've been out to watch guys in minor league baseball, and I know it means a lot to them when you show up and you're still there for them 5, 6, 10 years later. And they know that. I mean, actually, ironically, one of my assistant coaches is in a tournament in Sanford right now, and he's playing a team that actually the head coach of that team played for me. And
Oh,
and
yeah.
he was like, "Oh, I miss Wise. How's he doing? Talking and all that kind of stuff." I mean, heck, we're playing Coral Gables on Monday from Miami. Who's the head coach? He played for me. So the relationships are huge because they know they can still count on me for whatever they may need. And again, it builds a bond for life. That's what it does.
For sure. All right. Recently, kind of being ranked top 5 in Jacksonville. How do you guys treat this and not get caught up to affect you guys at all?
I mean, I told him that actually the other day. I said it was actually kind of funny because we were talking about it. I said, "Hey guys, it's an honor. I mean, I know what you guys got going on, and then even in the news for Jacks, they've got us up there. And I mean, I think they're so loose. And I told him the other day when I said, guys, it's hard to get there. It's harder to stay there. The guns are blaring, but I'll be honest, we've done such a good job as a whole. We've played a lot of really good teams. We played a few that are struggling a little bit this year, but overall as a whole, out of our 12, 14 games, including the preseason, we've seen 9 number ones. We're not
Yeah.
facing slow arms. Like we've seen some really good pitching. I mean, I want to say 7 or 8 of the arms we've seen have been 87 plus. And again, we're not the biggest, strongest, but we're scrappy. We're going to fight. And I think that's the part that to me is the most incredible for our group is that we've been battling and we found ways. And our pitching, it's been our pitching. I mean, I'll tell you right now, we've got one guy that touches 90 miles an hour, and it's a reliever. We don't throw hard. We don't. And I know I'm giving everybody out there a scouting report, and that's perfectly fine. It's not going to change who we are, and it's going to be the
Yeah.
same phone call. But we throw 3 pitches for strikes. We mix it up, and we'll throw them at all times. And the reality is we've been through this stretch, this 9-game win streak. We've given up 7 runs now in 9 games. We thrown 5
Jeez.
shutouts, and against some really good offensive teams. And at first I'm like, okay, are the teams maybe not that strong? But then they're going out and putting up 10, 11 runs against other teams. So our pitching has done a very, very good job, and our defense has been exceptional. We make the big pitch and the big play when we need to, and that's really what it's been. But going back to it, it's just talking about kind of ignore it. I know it's hard. I mean, people are going to talk and they're going to come gunning for us now, but if we play our game, I feel like we're capable of winning any day, but it's baseball. We're going to lose. The streak's going to end at some
Yep.
point. I mean, I know you guys are on a great streak. You got a great team. And at the end of the day, hopefully it doesn't end. I mean, but at the end of the day, if it does, then you just start a new one. And it's just, as long as at the end of the day, you know, you gave your best and you played your best, then there's nothing more you can do. And I think it's funny. 20 years, I've never had a team like this. They play so loose. They're so close. They have so much fun, and nothing phases them. It seems to be right now. So it's been a nice ride, and hopefully we can continue to do it.
Sure. All right. Got a few questions left here, kind of the
Sure.
quick ones. What do you kind of do in your free time outside of sports, outside of baseball? What do you do in your free time?
Hang out with my wife, my animals. I have actually a shirt business, so we do screen printing, embroidery, all that kind of stuff. So we do that.
Sweet.
Like to play golf and kind of just not hang around. I'm a go person, but I like to kind of just chill at times too.
That's awesome. All right. What advice would you kind of give younger athletes wanting to play high school baseball? They're out there watching these games, they're wanting to play. What advice do you kind of give them?
I mean, it gets hard, obviously, and we've been in some spots where unfortunately we've had to let some kids go. Just work hard. I mean, there's a place for you. It's a matter. The hard part is as the schools are growing and things like that, the numbers are getting bigger. Just being realistic too to say, okay, well, maybe that team is really, really strong, and that's not the school for me. But there is a school somewhere to play if we really want to play. The same thing as college. Talking about these colleges, like I say, going back to what I mentioned before, when I have my talks with my seniors, if they want to play, we just got to be willing to say, okay, am I a D1, a D2, a D3, NAI, a JUCO guy? Am I willing to leave Florida? And if we're able to do those things, we open up so many more possibilities. The hard part is, yes, there's the travel ball world has changed a lot on high school. Everybody thinks they can play high school because they play travel.
Yeah.
We're different. Our numbers are different. I mean, I know Passetti Bay Middle School for us has, I think, 3 middle school teams. We don't have 3 teams. So there's a lot of guys that play there right now that don't, but it's keep working, try to grind and battle and do all you can to get out there. But it's work. It definitely takes work. I mean, there's no doubt it's not going to if you just show up, it's not going to happen.
Definitely, for sure. All right, Phillip. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and good luck with the rest of your season.
Thanks, bud. You guys too. All right. Appreciate it.
Yep.